And I have 5:30. At this point, I'm going to mute everyone for a moment, and actually, we're going to do the pledge. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the annual reorganization meeting of the Sullivan BOCES Board of Education. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I will lead the pledge and then take my oath of office. I will then turn the meeting over to the district clerk, Jean Hewlett, who will run the swearing in of our new board members and the election of officers. The officers have been elected. We will turn the meeting over to them. So on the conference table in front of me is my little American flag, and I would ask each of you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic that stands
under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
So at this time, I'll ask the district clerk to administer the oath of office to the district superintendent.
At this time, I'd like to ask you to please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Robert M. Dufour,
I, Robert M. Dufour,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of New York, the state of New York,
and the Constitution of the state of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties and the position of district superintendent
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the district superintendent
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
You're so
Thank you.
so sworn.
I am so sworn. At this time, well, that's what she said. So
You are so sworn.
at this time, I will ask Jean to swear in our newest, our re-elected and newest board members, but I want to take a moment to welcome officially Anthony Sinacor, Tony, from the Liberty Central School District. He's a longtime administrator in the Liberty Schools, and he's a board member in the Liberty Schools and well-known in the community. And Tony, on behalf of the administration at Sullivan BOCES and the Board of Education, we welcome you.
Thank you.
Well, Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Hi.
This time, I'd like to administer the oath of office to Carol Bleefernick. Carol, if you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Carol Bleefernick,
I, Carol Bleefernick,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of board member
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of a board member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
You are so duly sworn. Thank you. The
Thank
next is Susan Horton. If you'll please raise your hand, your right hand.
I got it.
I, Susan Horton,
I, Susan Horton,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of board member
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of board member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
You are so sworn. Thank you. And finally, last but not least, Mr. Sinacor, if you would kindly please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Anthony Sinacor,
I, Anthony Sinacor,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of board member
I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of board member
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
You are so duly sworn. Mr. Sinecor and Mrs. Bleefernick, I will have your oaths of offices to sign on Thursday when you're here for the policy meetings, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Horton has already signed hers and is ready to go. The next item on our agenda is an action item. It's the nomination for the president of the board. I will need a motion to go into this act. Please raise your hand if you make a motion to elect a Carol Park. Thank you.
Do I,
No, all you have to do is raise your hand, and I need a second. Linda Berkowitz, thank you. Do we have a nomination for the president of the Sullivan County Board of Education? Yes, Carol.
I nominate Linda Berkowitz.
Do we have a second for that nomination?
I'll make the second.
And all in favor? It's unanimous. If Ms. Linda Berkowitz will have us, we would like to ask her to be the president of the Board of Education.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for your support. Do I go on from here, Jean?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, I have this sitting here. Okay.
Yeah, excuse me, oath of office for the president.
Oh, the
Oh,
oath of
right.
office.
I'm
That's
sorry.
right. You're absolutely correct. I apologize. Ms. Berkowitz, would you kindly raise your right hand? And please repeat after me. I, Linda Berkowitz,
I, Linda Berkowitz,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of board member
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of board member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
You are so duly sworn. I will email you the copy of the oath of office. If you would sign it and return it back to me, that would be appreciated.
Thank you.
Now you may take over. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so now the oath of office, I'm zipping through this. Board elections, we just did appointments. So we are at,
Vice
Not the
President.
Vice President.
oh, I missed that one.
Vice President. Yep.
Okay, I would like a nomination for the position of vice president. I would like to make a nomination. Can I make a nomination?
Yes, you may.
I would like
You
to
are.
nominate Linda Fisk.
Mm-hmm.
I'll second that nomination.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead.
All
Do you
in
have any
favor?
discussion?
All in favor? Raise your hand. It's unanimous.
And an oath in office.
Thank you.
Okay.
She
Linda
requires it.
Fisk, if you would kindly please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Linda Fisk,
I, Linda Fisk,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of board member, vice president.
and that I will, oh gosh, that I will
Faithfully.
faithfully discharge the, what was the rest? Jean, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Faithfully discharge the duties of the position of board member, vice president.
Okay, that I will faithfully, oh my God, I'm still on
Discharge.
bank right now. Discharge the
Okay.
duties of vice president.
There you go. According to
You
the
got
best of my
it.
abilities.
According to what?
Your
Best of
abilities.
My abilities. Thank you. Sorry.
Duly
I can
sworn.
hear good
Thank you
on
very
this.
much. I will email you your oath of office if you can kindly sign it and return it back to me.
Okay, thank you.
You can see what you said, Linda.
I think that's every,
You'll be able to see what you said.
and if
Foolishness.
I would like to take a moment and thank Linda for doing this job as well. Thank you.
So
for
would we.
agreeing.
Yes, thank you, Linda.
Before we move on, I would like to welcome Miss Pani Ms. Teresa Penny. Please tell me that's a virtual background behind you.
Boy, oh boy.
Yes, that's my picture.
What
from
is that, the
last
Caribbean?
summer.
Oh,
It's
nice.
pyramids.
No, it's
No,
Greece.
that's
It's
Florida.
Mykonos.
Where?
That was a picture from Greece last summer.
From Greece.
Oh, nice.
I'm assuming your mother is doing well?
It's my father, but
Father, I'm
yes,
so sorry.
that's okay. He's doing well.
Okay, good. So that means you're back. Now we are at item number 6. Jean, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, appointments. And if you look at the list of them, this is an action item. We're going to take them as a single item, if that's okay. Unless anyone has any questions. Well, first I need a motion.
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
These are the list of people that do things that we appoint every year. I know this for a fact because I called Jean to make sure I knew what I was thinking about here. They're for the 2021 school year. Okay, well, I have a motion. No questions? Okay, then I'm going to call for a vote on the whole list of appointments as a single vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. All right, Jean, you got that?
Yep.
The next thing are item number 7, the authorizations. Again, here is a rather lengthy list. This is actually seems like a much longer list. I need a motion to begin with. Thank you, Tony. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Carol. Any questions about
Which Carol was that? I'm sorry.
Carol Park?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions on these? Linda?
I do have a question because I'm not looking at the list of the agenda there. Does this one include the internal transfers over 500,000? I'm logging in there now, sorry.
Internal is,
Yes, yes, it does.
Transfers.
no, the external is
External.
up 500.
External over
500,000.
500. Internal is just transfers.
So what do you guys do if you have to do a transfer over 500,000? Who's authorized for that?
Board.
It has to come to us.
Normally, when
Okay.
we get into those situations, also, we've done 2. The only time that I can recall that ever happening, and Keith, enter if I'm wrong, is sometimes when we have the end of the year, the big pay.
Yeah.
On how many employees chose the big pay, and when it's processed in addition to a regular payroll is the only time I'm aware we've ever run into that as an issue.
Okay. I just thought of that last night when I was reading it. So, okay. Thank you, Susan.
And Susan, is it correct? You bring that to the board, or when it's over 500,000?
Requires board action.
Yes, we would.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? All right, then I'd like to have a vote by show of hands. All those in favor? Unanimous once again. Thank you.
And Linda, on 7.02, that's just an informational item. The district-wide safety plan will be put on the website at the conclusion of this meeting and remain there for 30 days. We will have a public hearing at our August meeting and a short presentation and vote on it at that time.
Okay. Everybody's fine with that? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Bob. Okay, item number 8, designations. Once again, I need a motion before we can discuss it. Linda, thank you. Carol Bliefernick, thank you. Sorry, Kath. Questions? Does anyone have any questions about any of these designations?
Yeah.
Okay,
We
Ken?
just wonder how they're going to turn out.
I
Good
know.
point.
Yeah.
That's a rough one. Okay, I'd like to have a vote then. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Again, a unanimous vote. Lovely. Item 9 is just informational. We're going to have a recess because we're going to leave this meeting and go into our regular meeting. Okay, so
Right.
I don't think we have to take too much of a recess.
I just need to switch over to the,
Okay, so we're into our regular meeting.
hold on one
We're
second.
just rolling over. We don't need to do anything about it. Access information for virtual meeting, that's a moot point. We're all here. Anticipate executive session. Bob, do you want an executive session now? No, you
I have no
reason.
request for one at this time.
Susan, anyone on the board have a reason that they would like an executive session? Good, then we're moving away from number 2 on to number 3, reconvening the meeting. So we'll call to order, which is procedural. It's a good thing you gave me this whole thing, Jean, which is procedural. Now we are going to, I need a motion for the consent agenda, which is items 4.02 to 4.08. I need a motion, please. Carol Bliefernick, second by Kathy. Thank you. Questions? Comments? Okay, I'd like a vote then. We have all those in favor of the consent agenda, please raise your hand. Again, unanimous. Thank you very much. By the way, thank you to everyone who is here tonight who is not on the board. Item number 5, approval of previous minutes.
Okay, can I explain that?
Yes, you
Okay,
should.
so at our last meeting, we had technical difficulties and the meeting did not record. So after consulting with our attorney, we posted a notice to that effect on the website and we provided a detailed transcript at the link for the meeting. So after speaking with our attorney, it was deemed appropriate to put all action items from our last meeting on tonight's agenda under the consent agenda to revote them so that they're done properly. It's just procedural. So all of those items in that section are items we've already voted on, and this is just a reaffirmation of them.
Excellent. Any questions for Bob on that? Okay, so
All of those items in section 4, you can skip forward and just go straight to financial matters, section 5, because you just approved everything in the
well,
consent.
we're at section 5 now, and section 5 is approval of the previous minutes.
Section 5 is approval.
Financial.
No, 4.02 is previous minutes.
Yeah, it's,
Right, but then section 5, if you look at
Financial.
502, approval of previous minutes, May 12th, 2020.
May 12th.
I don't have that.
Huh?
I do.
That's what I have, Linda.
I have the same thing.
May 12th?
I have section 502.
You're looking at the minutes that say that. You have to go over to the agenda side. You're looking at the minutes.
Oh, you're looking at the content of the, I got it.
The previous.
That-
Of the minutes of the June meeting.
And where does that end here? It's very,
Yeah, I
all
don't
the
get
way
it.
down
if you keep going, Ken, down several pages, you get to subject 4.06, instructional technology, and then 4.07,
Correct.
and that's current. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct, exactly.
This
All
is
the
the
other,
most confusing thing.
it's because we had to add all of the content of last meeting into.
I see, okay,
Okay.
okay.
You want us to go down.
It's necessary evil and we apologize.
Right, we
Not,
apologize.
not a problem. We just needed to understand it. So you want us
Just
to go
trying to
down.
make sense out of it.
To financial matters, 5.5, financial matters, section 501, claims audit report, June 2020.
They have to vote on the consent agenda.
Didn't vote on the.
You didn't. Oh, you didn't
Yeah.
vote.
No, we did not yet.
No,
You need
So
to vote
the
on item
consent-
4.
Excuse me, everybody. The consent agenda is now going down to where it says number 5, financial matters, just above that. We're voting on everything above that.
Correct.
Okay, I need a motion.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sue. Linda? Okay, everybody, all in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you.
I'm still confused.
Okay. if
Do you mean that we approved all those things last time?
Yes.
Yes, but it wasn't recorded.
Or did?
I didn't remember approving the school physician services last meeting.
That was part of the agenda.
No,
Ken.
the school physician services appointment is this agenda.
Ken, you've gone too far.
Well, then we've gone too far.
So
That's my point.
the reapproval,
rest of us have-
4.30 is a long section. 4.30 is the reapproval of absolutely everything that we voted on at the last meeting. And it's part of the consent agenda. And then after that, we have, for the consent agenda for this meeting, section 4.4, approval of the
Okay.
senior management terms and conditions.
Dean, next time we have to do something like this, you and I will talk ahead of time, and I
Hopefully
think
we
we can
never have.
find an easier visual way to do it.
Yeah,
So
the
that
only
everybody
problem with
sees-
that, Linda, is the way the system is set up. It was the only way we could do
Do
it.
it.
Well, I mean, I read this, Jean told me about this, and I got lost as well. It's not just you, Ken.
In order to
Now we're
revote
on
it-
number 5.
But in order to revote it, we needed to include the original motion numbers from the previous meeting's agenda. And
Not
that's-
a problem, not a problem. Did we just now vote on it?
Yes,
Yes, so we're done with it, right? We
Yes.
finished it, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to where it says, section 5, financial matters. It's number 5, it says financial matters, and it's underlined in bold all the way across. Everybody same place now? Everybody see that? Ken, you and I in the same place?
You bet.
Okay, great. Subject 5.01, claims audit report, informational. Okay, anybody have any question about the claims audit report?
It was good.
Yeah, exceedingly good. Okay, then we're going to move on to section 502, the treasurer's report. This is an action item, so I need a vote, please. I need a motion, please. Okay, Linda and Sue, thank you very much. First and second, appreciate it. Any questions, comments?
No.
Okay, please vote. Everybody in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, it's once again unanimous. Now we're on section 6, personnel matters. Okay, so this is the sheet and the infamous blue sheet, which isn't blue, all in one. Again, it's an action item. May I please have a motion? Thank you, Kathy. Second by Carol Bliefernick. Thank you very much. Okay. Questions, comments, some things. How, I have a question, I guess. And
Yeah, I do too.
Well, Ken, please ask yours first.
Well, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Lori Birch.
Lori's a current, you want me to talk, Bob, or do you want Natasha to answer that?
I'll let Natasha answer. Natasha, you have to, there you go.
What would you like to know?
Well, tell me a little bit about her.
Sure.
I see that she has a doctorate. Where did she do that? Where was she last year? Why was she hired?
She's been a math teacher in our alt ed program. She did summer school last year for us at Sullivan BOCES. She was sitting in as an admin for half the summer school program. And we felt she finished her administrative degree and has wanted to work in the admin program, but she's been at BOCES for quite some time now. So she's applied for the CTE program and it was felt that she was most qualified, and we're happy to hopefully have her this fall. She's also going to be working a little bit this summer.
So she's a longtime employee?
Fairly, Jen.
She used to be an attorney.
Yeah, she has attorney experience. So she does have a business experience, which we felt was helped to qualify her for this position, working with the business partners and so forth at CT.
I've hired several fallen away attorneys in my career, and they all turned out good people.
She's been employed since 2017 as a math teacher. She was a math teacher, I believe, as a first career. Then she went into law, came back to us as an alt-ed math teacher, and now has received her SBL. So she has her
And
administrative.
so when we call it, Jennifer, when we call it a doctorate degree, it's a JD?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm. Correct.
Okay, all right.
And I'm just curious, as I look at her particular salary per hour, it seems lower than I would have anticipated. Is that because of the time she has, or the little time she has done teaching?
That is the beginning range for our assistant principals.
Okay.
And,
That is it, yeah.
Not too much different than the other ones that we've hired, but because this is her first admin job, we hired her at the base salary for AP.
Okay. And I have a question.
You're looking below.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, above has her annual salary.
One's for the summer and one's for the.
That's right.
Right,
She's doing
right.
work over the summer.
Yeah, but I was just looking at the hourly and comparing it just by hours.
There's another annual salary up above that's more reflective.
The top is her tenure track position, and the other is because she's not starting with us full time until August 3rd. She is doing some hourly work over the summer until she starts full time.
Okay.
Okay.
Scott Palermo.
Well, I was going to say, when things get back to normal, let's be sure to bring her in so that we can meet her.
We
I
did.
can meet her at least.
We have.
We did?
She's been in.
Yeah.
He's been at board meetings.
I apologize.
Yeah. You're just not realizing who she is, I think, Ken.
Okay.
Yeah, we have met her. Scott Palermo, is this effective? I'm confused. It's effective July 1st, 2020, and it's for summer school?
No, it's an hourly rate we're establishing for him to do consulting work if needed with the new CTE principal during the course of the school year.
Just consultation.
Is that open-ended? I know in the past, I will tell you, in the past, I remember when Barbara was with us doing these, we set a limit. This wasn't an open-ended thing, and I would like to see some limit put on this. I don't want to be, nothing against Scott, but I don't want to be supporting Scott all year.
The limit that we put on it was if Jeff Molesky, who is the current principal, feels he needs a consult with Scott or assistance, he requires approval from Natasha, who's his immediate supervisor, prior to Scott doing any work. So that's the check that I put in place on that.
Okay, Bob, I appreciate that that's what you'd like to do and how you'd like to handle it, but we've been very cognizant of the fact that these things can sometimes get out of hand. I see Carol Park. Sorry about that, Carol.
That's okay.
Carol Park shaking her head because we've done that. And we may have even had to renew it, but we should have a not to exceed statement there. Because if we have someone in that position that needs a full-time person backing him up, then we have the wrong person in that position. It's not, I'm not aiming this at anyone or saying anything. I'm just saying this is how we have successfully done it. And I'm sorry this never came up ahead of time, and otherwise I certainly would have had the conversation with you privately, but I can't agree to this as it is. I don't feel comfortable with it. Might you be willing to address?
Why don't we limit it to? Why don't you limit to 100 hours?
Remove it from the agenda.
I think that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Stop. Bob, I didn't hear what you said.
Remove it from the agenda.
Okay. And you can put it back. Great. Thank you. So we are not adding that in right now. And when we approve or disapprove, it is without that one part, and Bob will hand it back to us however he chooses. Any other questions? Okay, then can we have a vote, please, on everything but that one appointment? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Excellent. Unanimous, thank you. Moving on, another action item, number 7, discussion items. Policy review, 5679, privacy and security for students, student data and teacher and principal data, first review. Okay. What are we actually, we're voting on this policy now?
This is a first reading of the policy. It'll be
I know, but
First reading.
I'm sorry, I was saying it says it's an action item.
Right, the action item is its first reading. We have to put it in as first reading.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of putting this in as a first reading? Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I need a motion. Ken, thank you. Carol, thank you for a second. Bliefernick. All those in favor of this action for the first reading, please raise your hand. Again, unanimous.
Yeah.
Okay. District Superintendents Report. We do not have to have that as an action item. Bob, you're on.
Just a quick update. The Board of Regents is expected to release a formal document tomorrow on reopening guidance. The New York State Department of Health issued late last night the health and safety guidance that was expected out of the governor's office. The guidance that the DOH has issued is very, very prescriptive and far more restrictive than the Center for Disease Control guidelines. So it's going to put a burden on all of the school districts in this state in order to comply with these regulations. There will be cost factors that were not budgeted for that our school districts are going to have to deal with, and policies, procedures that are going to need to be put in place. And our school districts only have until July 31st to do that and submit their plans to the state. It's unclear whether the plans have to be submitted to both the Department of Health and SED. We're hoping for guidance on that in the next couple of days. So our school districts throughout the county are now scrambling. So it's going to be a very busy 2 to 3 weeks for all of our local school districts. We're in pretty good shape at BOCES because we've been working on our plans since May under Maria's guidance. And we feel we only need to do some minor tweaks in order to bring ours into compliance. But there will be a very real issue here with regards to cost factor and as to how school districts are going to pay for the items stipulated by the Department of Health. And there is a big question mark as to what these plans will or will not mean because they're separate and distinct from any decision being made by the executive branch on the reopening of schools between August 1st and August 7th. Because there is no way that 700 plans that are due into Albany on July 31st can be reviewed in any way, shape, or form, since there are no parameters on what the plan will or will not look like. So these plans are actually being submitted separate from any decision-making process as to what will or will not happen with schools in September. Carol?
If you could clarify to the best of your ability, are we talking about bringing children to school online or some hybrid?
They're talking about several scenarios. They're talking about coming back face-to-face. They're talking about some form of hybrid, and they're talking about fully remote. Each school district in the state has got to come up with a contingency plan for each of those eventualities.
Wow. Bob?
Yes.
Is there any conversation about parents objecting to send their kids on a face-to-face? Do we have to have a contingency plan for that?
Well, interestingly enough, the Department of Health guidance document, which is attributed to the Department of Health, eerily has many of the positions previously done in executive orders included in its guidance. So there are clauses in there which cause a great deal of confusion. Parents cannot be forced to send their children back. Districts could choose not to have certain children back based on their perceived ability. So if there's a highly asthmatic student, the district may deem that that student isn't appropriate to assimilate back in. There's too many variables. And for any student or staff member who does not return, and listen to what I said, or staff member, we must make provisions for them to work or learn remotely.
Bob?
It's going to be a very interesting couple of
Oh,
months.
yeah. Carol, go ahead.
Bob, is there any opportunity for BOCES to collaborate with the districts with Maria's help to offer assistance in those plans?
There is no time, and we don't have the staff, Carol. We are going to provide the work that we've done. I'll be very honest with you. I've been encouraging our superintendents since the beginning of May to start their planning. Some did, some did not. Every guidance document, everything that we're working with at BOCES has been shared with every one of the school districts. So we have been working with them, but we can't make them do the work. But we have shared everything that we've been working off of to the point that we're moving up our timeline so that we could at least share what we did a week before their plans are due. But there is no guidance and there may not be any uniformity. It is absolutely possible that 8 different school districts in this county can decide to do something different. And then we will need to conform our plans to that. School District A could choose to start remotely based on what we're reading in the guidance. School District B may decide that they want to do a hybrid. We'll have to adapt our scheduling to whatever they do. There is an issue out there with several of our school districts with regards to transportation.
Yeah.
And they may not have transportation for their students in the fall. There's a lot of variables.
Do you think there's a chance the governor will stop us from opening?
Are you asking me as a district superintendent? Are you asking me for my opinion? What are you asking me for?
I'd like your opinion.
Yes, I think there's every distinct possibility we will not be back in the fall.
Wow.
We'll just be remote.
I think we might start remote. 3 weeks ago, I would have said we would have been back face-to-face some way, but with if you've been reading the news over the last couple of days, there have been a couple of upticks in certain upstate communities as a result of individuals traveling to states that are experiencing higher outbreaks of the virus than New York are. There's a lot of concerns for large social gatherings. You go down to what just happened during the last 4 weeks down in Chappaqua. One of the wealthiest communities in New York State held a graduation ceremony following all of the guidelines. 18 confirmed diagnosed cases of COVID-19 directly attributable to the graduation because one student went to Florida to spend time with family, came back and infected everyone. It's a lot of variables. But after reading everything I've read over the last couple of days, I have a feeling that they're going to be leaning towards starting out remote. The city of Los Angeles and what, Maria, was it San Diego? Are going remote. Orange County, which is just below Los Angeles, says they're going to go face-to-face with no masks. It's absolutely crazy. And anyone who says this hasn't been politicized,
crazy.
the truth.
Surely has.
You raised an interesting point there when you said masked. Are we now? I mean, we are all sitting on our own homes. You and Jean are sitting. I happen to know how big that table is, so I know you're
6
fairly
feet
far
apart,
apart.
trust me.
But other than that, I mean, I assume everyone is wearing a mask.
Everyone is wearing a mask, and one of the key takeaways from the documentation we received in the past 24 hours is everyone will be expected, including the students, to wear a mask when they return,
Correct, yeah.
unless there's a medical reason that they cannot. And I was talking about the hidden costs. The onus is on the school district to provide those masks.
Sure.
We can ask them to bring their own, but we're required to provide them. We're required to provide the face shields. We're required to provide the gowns. We're required to provide the hand sanitizer. We're required to beef up our crews to disinfect multiple times throughout the day. And we're required to hire additional staff if we need to split classes. So it's going to be a burden on a lot of school districts.
I would like to tell you too that I'm on day 12 of quarantine. We had an exposure and we were tested a week ago on Monday with no results yet. Can you imagine if there's someone in a classroom that's been exposed and everyone has to wait 11 days for a test? That won't happen.
Well, the guidance, Carol, speaks to that. If there is a suspected case, the student has to be removed and tested. And
if you wait this
14
long,
days. But that's the other thing. We don't have the testing capabilities that are going to be required if there's another outbreak. It's going to be a
if I were the student, if I were the school nurse, you can bet your life I would be retiring.
Well, the other thing we have to do is we're required to take every student's temperature when they arrive at school.
Everybody as they enter school, did you say?
Every student has to have their temperature taken before they enter the building.
And then what? Call the parent who's already gone to work?
Well, that's the other thing. See, at BOCES, we're fortunate because we have the ability to do this on the bus. We can stop the buses out in front, go on with a portable digital thermometer, take the temperature scans, and if somebody on that bus, their temperature is too high, we just send the whole bus back to district.
The recommendation has been that the kids' parents transport them to school, which that would be a bonus because you could just leave them right in the car then and say, take them home. But that won't be for everyone.
And these digital scanners are, Susan, how much are the scanners?
The thermometers are $150 a piece.
Right. So, and we're going to need quite a few of them because we have 2 entrances that we use and we have 2 campuses. And we can't require the school districts to do it because transportation is their responsibility, not ours. But it is very clear we're responsible for every student that sets foot on our campus. And even if we ask the parents to do it at home, we still have to do it when they get there because how do we know the parent isn't just saying, yeah, I did it, everything's fine?
Bob, isn't there a way we could make some agreement with our districts that before they let kids get on the bus to BOCES, their temperatures get taken? Because the districts,
I'm sure they have to be.
Excuse me, the districts have a far easier way to get them back to their parents than when they come to BOCES. I mean, give me a kid from Eldred who comes to BOCES. If Eldred had tested them before they got on the bus, so much easier.
We can make any requests we like, but we have no way of enforcing it. And the problem is, so let's say bus A is coming from District B, and there are 15 kids on that bus socially distant. And that day, whoever was responsible to take the temperatures didn't. We can't go under the assumption it was done.
No, but we can, if we can make an agreement with our superintendents.
Still doesn't negate our responsibility.
Excuse me?
Still does not negate our responsibility.
I understand that, but if we can make an agreement with our superintendents that it's their policy that they take those temperatures before they let kids get on the bus, then granted, we may still have to take it here, but the probability is much smaller that we will then have kids who are problematic. I can't imagine the districts just blowing it off if we make an agreement with them. We can put it in writing.
That's not what I said. I did not say they would blow it off. If somebody makes a mistake.
Yeah, whatever, you know, but still the numbers, the probabilities should go down a bit.
But we still, I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't negate the fact that we still have to do it ourselves.
I
Which means
understand that.
it's extra work that needs to be done, and it's got to be done by all school districts.
Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a corollary question. There's been a lot of speculation among educators about those that are eligible for retirement but are choosing not to retire. So if they get to teach from home, they might not retire. If they have to come into school, they might retire. Do we have a large number of teachers in that category where they could retire? Any idea how many?
Well,
We have
Eldred has quite a few.
asked.
Eldred has quite a few.
Teresa could, but no, we don't. We'd have to get that information. We do not have a lot of people requesting to retire at this time.
Right, and my understanding was they would put in their papers, that's possible that they would put in their papers once they found out what their requirements would be. So I'm just saying, maybe that's a contingency to at least prepare for.
Yeah, at this time, we don't know. We're assuming that the information we have now is as valid as we're going to have. Could people decide to do that? Of course they could.
Of course they could, yes. And being older, they might.
Older and wiser.
There is an anxiety level, that is very clear. A lot of our staff is concerned.
Of course, maybe.
Yeah.
Understood.
All right. Before we belabor this any further, anyone else? Okay. Bob, we're going to move on unless you have something else you want to add to us.
Nope.
Okay. Board member comments. I'm going to be official and ask each of you. Tony, this is a time that if there's something that you want to ask about or say or whatever, we have board member comments at the end of every meeting, so we just go around. So I want to make the first comment, and I want to once again welcome you, and we look forward to working with you. And I want to thank all our administrators and personnel who have worked with them and have come and worked so hard this summer for the move that was made. And I know a lot of the IT folks are really working over there at the same time as everybody else is working on something. So thank you all, administrators and Susan, Bob, Keith, Jen. Thank you all for everything you've been doing. It hasn't been easy, and I don't admire what's ahead of you. I really don't. It's a tough one. Moving over, Tony, do you have a comment you'd like to make?
I'd just like to thank you for welcoming me into the organization, and I look forward to working with everybody for the whole year, the next 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Sue, I'm going around on my screen here.
Me, Sue?
Yes.
I'm good. Thank you, Linda.
Moving over, Linda Fisk.
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Kathy? We can't hear you, Kathy.
Thank everybody, just like you did, to second what you did.
Okay. Carol Park.
Just the same. Thank you, everyone.
And finally, Ms. Bliefernick.
Yeah, I have nothing. Thank you very much.
Okay. Then, Kathy, you're on for item 11. Kathy is kind of muted, but I'm betting she said she makes a motion to adjourn. Okay.
And I'll second her.
Okay. Linda, thank you. All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you again in a few weeks.
Stay healthy, everyone.
All out. Be safe.
Yep.
Stay healthy.
Hope you're good.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, me
Bye.
too.
Raise your hand.